Are you ready for some beautiful dollar store Christmas craft ideas? Today we're collaborating with our friends Jelica from A Pretty Fix and Kippi from Kippi at Home to bring you some festive and budget-friendly ideas for the holidays. Be sure to check out their videos in the description below and let me know which of these 3 dollar store Christmas crafts do you like the best. Who knew that those dollar store terracotta pots could look so beautiful with just a little bit of paint and some glue? Hi creative friends, I'm Jane from Sustain My Craft Habit, and this is a fun Nordic inspired Christmas craft using these terracotta pots that you can find at your local dollar store or craft store or even home improvement store. I bought 3 different sizes of terracotta pots from larger to smaller, and you could make one of these trees or a few of them. I love this cluster of 3. So I started by gluing the different sized pots together just so that they wouldn't come crashing apart, and obviously you just take the smaller ones and glue them to the top on top of the larger ones. Once those were all in place, it's time to paint them. So I used for this craft chalky finish paint in red and white, and I was really going for this red and white Scandi inspired vibe. It's pretty fun and popular, and it's just simple and clean, and that's what we were going for. So I started with the largest tree and gave it a good coat of the white chalky paint. And the nice thing is the terracotta really takes this chalky paint well, and I think I only needed 1 coat, but you can always do a second coat to just make sure that it's really fully covered. So this is just some inspiration images for what I was aiming for. Between coats, simply let that paint dry completely. So the largest one and the smallest pots, I painted the background white, and then the medium or the middle-sized tree, I painted red. Now, once those were completely dried, it's time to add the accent. I tried to use a couple of different techniques. One was with these paint pens, and it just didn't give the full coverage that I was looking for. So then I went back to my red chalky paint, and I had to add a bit of water because it was already drying up a bit. If this technique works for you, you can try to stack a few books, or I had these wood blocks, and then use that to help guide your straight lines. But in the end, I just really found taking the time and doing it freeform by hand. For the red pot, I did this really nice white leaf motif. Very simple, you just draw kind of a curved line and then almost add these hearts or little leaves and have them going back and forth. And for the smallest pot, the white one, I used a gold paint pen to add this snowflake design. Just so simple. And although the 3 pieces are coordinated, they're not so matchy-matchy, which is nice. They're each their own unique little work of art. I had these wooden stars, and I just gave them a coat of gold paint and glued those to the top of the trees for the white ones, and a white star to the top of the red tree. And there you go, beautiful, budget-friendly decor for the holidays. I just really took my time and enjoyed the process of painting these lovely trees. They're going to look great on my holiday mantle, but also would make a thoughtful gift idea. A dollar store wood plaque and poinsettia napkin formed the foundation for this pretty merry and bright sign. I originally intended to stain this wood plaque with a mixture of brown acrylic paint and water, but when I did it, the stain turned out like almost orange. So in the end, I decided to paint it with black acrylic paint instead, and I'm so glad it did, because in the end it turned out really nice, modern, and fresh in combination with the bright red poinsettias. So I just did 1 coat of this black paint and then let it dry and set aside my frame while it was doing that. In the meantime, I cut out this merry and bright design in black vinyl, which again corded really nicely with the black frame. I used my Cricut Maker 3 and the Smart Vinyl for this, so it was super quick and easy, and I'll leave the link to the project file in the description below. Once I teased out all the little bits, I used a little bit of transfer tape to transfer this design onto the white sticker cardstock that's also a Smart product that goes with the Cricut Maker 3. In Design Space, I had created an offset of the Merry and Bright design, which cut out the white cardstock just a little bit larger with a nice shape that perfectly matched my Merry and Bright sign. Once that was done, I just set it aside for the next part of the project. Once my black frame was completely dried, it was time to decoupage my napkin onto the inside. So make sure to peel apart the plies. You just want the single ply remaining of your tissue. Now, I made a little bit of mistake here, which I didn't realize till later, but I really should have painted the back side of my tray white, because as you'll see later, that black paint kind of seeped through and the yellow of the wood was apparent in through the napkin once it dried. But most of the motif is covered by that Merry and Bright sticker, so it's not that noticeable, but honestly, if I was to do it again or to do it over, I would have painted that, taken the time to paint it to get a really nice crisp finish. In any case, I just used a little bit of Mod Podge and decoupaged this napkin onto the back surface of the wood plaque. I added one more, I just cut out another piece of the napkin because these poinsettias are actually just so beautiful, and I wanted a little bit more of the red to be able to peek out from behind my sign. So here I am just coating or sealing in that napkin with a bit of decoupage, the Mod Podge, and drying it. And then I placed on the Merry and Bright cutout right over my decoupaged backdrop. Because the edges around the outside of the napkin were a little rough looking, I used this red and white ribbon to finish off that inner edge. Finally, it's time to add a little bit of greenery and embellishments to the frame. So I had these faux green picks, these faux berries that I just glued on to the top left corner of the sign, and then made a simple bow with some red and white ribbon to really tie it all together. And to finish it off, I just tucked in two of these adorable pine cones that I had painted with a little bit of white paint. And there you go, a beautiful Merry and Bright sign for Christmas. Again, this is going to look beautiful on my holiday mantle, but also would make a lovely gift idea for anyone on your list. The huge price tags I saw for garlands online and in store is what inspired my third dollar store Christmas craft idea, and that is this beautiful embellished garland. For this craft, I picked up two of these 8-foot faux garlands, faux greenery garlands from my local Dollarama, which is our dollar store, one of them here in Canada. And I started out by taking one of them out and completely opening it up and then flattening the branches so that it lied nice and flat on my surface. Next, I layered the second faux garland that I picked up right over top of that first one, and this really gives the garland a nice full effect. Even though they're only $4 each, they look really rich and lush. You can just wrap some of the branches around each other to hold it all together, but I also picked up this wire from the Dollarama, and I love the red, and that's what I used throughout the garland, and tied the two garlands in a few spots to hold them together. Now, if you wanted to add lights to your garland, this is the perfect time to do it. I have a string of battery operated string lights, which is perfect because where I'm thinking of putting the garland, I don't have access to an electrical outlet. So this just gives it a little bit of twinkle. Now we're going to start layering in the berries. I picked up two of these faux berry picks for, I think they were about $1.50 each. And we're just cutting off several of the little stems and layering them kind of deeper into our garland. At this point, you also want to decide whether you want your garland to have some motion or direction. So either you can start at the center of the garland and have everything pointed outwards towards the side. You can have all your embellishments pointing in one direction, either to the left or to the right, or have it going randomly outwards and upside down. So that's totally up to you and the look that you'd like. We're fortunate to have a lot of pine cones, and I love crafting with them for the holidays. So here I've taken 3 different varieties of pine cones and given them a good coat of white paint using chalky finish paint, which I find adheres best to the pine cones. I'm wiring 2 to 3 of the types of pine cones together into a cluster and then attaching that to the garland. Now, when you're working on the garland, you might find it's easiest to think about kind of 2-foot sections at a time. Create the embellishments that you like and the arrangement that you feel looks the best, and then simply repeat that as you go down the garland. Now, you can't have a beautiful garland without beautiful ribbons, and I couldn't believe how nice these ones were that I also found at the Dollarama. I was going for really a red and white theme with my garland, and that has been kind of the theme that I'm going with for the holidays. So this white ribbon with red snowflakes was perfect, as well as the red buffalo check. And I just cut them to about 18-inch length, fold the ribbon over into thirds, cinch it together in the center as tight as you can, and use a little bit of wire to hold it. I left the tails on the wire extra long to be able to use it to attach to my garland. Next, simply pull those tails down and fluff up the loops to create this really lovely little bow. I affixed the bows to the garland, alternating white and red, about 10 inches apart. So I needed 10 bows, 5 of each color, to make my garland look complete. So even as it was with the red berry picks, the pine cones, and the ribbon, the garland looked already beautiful, but I thought it'd be fun to add one final little embellishment, and that's these wood cutouts that I also got from the dollar store. So I grouped them together in little clusters of 3, gluing them onto a bit of the red wire, and then tucked that onto the garland. Once I was happy, I just repeated that along the rest of the garland. And for a fraction of the price, less than $15, I was able to achieve this really premium looking deluxe garland that you would easily pay over $100 for in store or online. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed these 3 dollar store Christmas craft ideas, and be sure to check out Kippi's and Jelica's videos through the links in the description below. Let me know which is your favorite dollar store Christmas craft. Happy crafting!